think of ancient traditions, right? Herbal remedies, a more holistic way of life. But here's the thing that's kind of wild. This system of medicine, which is thousands of years old, has exploded into a cutting-edge, multi-billion-dollar global industry. So how on earth did ancient wisdom become modern big business? And, what happens when those two worlds smash into each other?
Okay, so let's just look at this. On one hand, you've got the actual origins of Ayurveda, knowledge literally passed down for generations on fragile palm leaf manuscripts. And on the other hand, you have, well, this. A slick, high-tech financial market that's just booming, pulling in huge investments from all over the world. It's a wild contrast, isn't it?
And when I say booming, I mean it. Check out this number. Just one single part of this market, what they call herbo-mineral formulations, which is a mix of herbs and specific minerals, is projected to grow at over 21% every single year. That is an absolutely explosive trajectory for any industry.
But to really get why all this is happening, we've got to go back to basics. What actually is Ayurveda? What's the foundational philosophy that's driving this entire system?
Okay, so the heart of it all is something called the tree dosha theory. The word dosha basically means something that can get out of whack. And the idea is that these three fundamental forces, these bioenergies, they pretty much govern everything happening in our bodies and our minds. So when they're in balance, that's health, and when they're out of balance, well, that's when disease starts to creep in. This slide really breaks it down nicely. You can see how each dosha is this unique blend of elements. So Vata, which is air and ether, is all about movement. Pitta, made of fire and water, that's your metabolism, your digestion. And Kapha, from earth and water, that gives your body its structure and stability. And the key is that your unique mix of these, your prakriti, makes this a deeply personalized system right from the get-go.
So you're probably wondering, how does this ancient philosophy turn into a modern, multi-billion-dollar market? Well, the numbers tell a really fascinating story.
As you'd probably guess, purely herbal products, they make up the lion's share, almost 70% of the market. But remember that crazy 21.4% growth rate we just talked about? That's all coming from this smaller herbal mineral slice. Why? Because it's seen as having, enhanced therapeutic benefits.
And make no mistake, this is not just an Indian phenomenon. This thing is going global. Japan is set to see nearly 18% growth every year, driven by an aging population that's looking for more gentle therapies. And then you have Brazil, not far behind at over 14%, thanks to a booming wellness tourism scene and a huge demand for natural cosmetics.
So what's really fueling this fire? It's way more than just a trend. It's a real cultural shift. We're in an age where people are searching for more personalized, more preventative healthcare. We all want natural, clean ingredients in everything, and people are traveling the world for authentic wellness experiences. It all just feeds into this massive boom.
But, whenever something gets this big, this fast, it's going to attract some serious scrutiny. And that has put Ayurveda smack in the middle of a critical crossroads, really caught between ancient beliefs and the tough demands of modern science.
So, a huge area of focus is chronic inflammation. Modern medicine links it to pretty much everything, from arthritis to heart disease. And for a lot of people dealing with these kinds of conditions, Ayurveda offers a completely different way to think about and manage that underlying inflammation. And this is where we start to see this fascinating bridge to modern science. Traditional Ayurvedic remedies for inflammation often use ingredients like turmeric and ginger. And these aren't just old wives' tales anymore. The active compounds in them, like curcumin and turmeric, are now the subject of thousands of scientific studies for their anti-inflammatory effects. So if you talk to people who are all in on Ayurveda, the upsides are pretty clear. It's seen as natural, as chemical-free, and crucially, it's a personalized approach, with treatments tailored to your unique body type, your prakriti. The whole focus isn't just on fixing symptoms, it's about preventing disease in the first place and creating wellness for the long haul. But, and this is a big but, that is definitely not a universally accepted view. On the other side of the debate, you've got a ton of skepticism from the mainstream scientific community. Some prominent sources will even go so far as to label it a form of pseudoscience. And a big reason for that is that its holistic, super-personalized ideas are really hard to test with our standard one-size-fits-all clinical trials. And look, these aren't small problems. The industry is up against some very real, very serious hurdles. The regulations are all over the place depending on what country you're in. There have been major quality control issues. You might have heard about concerns with heavy metal contamination. And because the formulas aren't standardized, it's incredibly difficult to guarantee quality or scientifically prove health claims on a big scale. So you have this massive tension, right? Ancient belief versus modern science.
But that conflict is actually forcing an evolution. It's leading to this fascinating new synthesis, this real attempt to bridge the gap between ancient texts and modern technology.
And that brings us to this brand new, really exciting field called ayurveda. The core idea is to ask the question, does your Ayurvedic constitution, your prakriti, actually correlate with your genetic makeup? Can we find a real tangible link between the ancient concept of body types and our modern understanding of DNA?
This chart just lays it out perfectly. This is what that synthesis looks like. It's about mapping ancient concepts directly onto modern tools. Can we understand the 3 doshas through the lens of genomics? Can we use AI to analyze someone's prakriti? Can we validate herbal formulas by discovering biomarkers? These are the exact questions researchers are tackling right now.
And this is not some far-off future stuff. Technology is making this happen today. Let's go back to that inflammation example. AI is already being used to analyze medical data to spot diseases way earlier, to predict exactly which patients will respond best to certain drugs, and even to turbocharge the discovery of totally new treatments. So where does all this leave us? We've gone on this journey from knowledge recorded on palm leaves to a massive global wellness market. And now we're staring at a potential synthesis with AI and genomics. As technology leads us into a future of hyper-personalized predictive medicine, what is the role for ancient wisdom? Is it going to be validated and integrated into this new world, or will it ultimately be left behind? Now that is the billion-dollar question.